Good morning, it's Norma Cowie for Wednesday's Norma Talks. If you think I sound a little funny, I do. I woke up yesterday morning with a cold, a coughing cold, which has made it even worse. Um, when I was reporting to a good friend of mine that I had this cough and this cold and I felt pretty awful, she said, which is something I used to say to my people when, I used to have them in weekly all the time, what took place 10 days ago. So I looked back, and sure enough, 10 days ago, I had an emotional crisis. I was doing some weddings and I goofed up a little bit, and I tend to be hard on myself sometimes, and I was hard on myself. The result is a cold, which is where I'm coughing. So please forgive my stuffy nose and maybe the occasional cough. So usually in the first Wednesday of the month, I have a kind of a reading, but I was so out of it yesterday that I decided that this morning I would just play some cards out and take a look and see what it shows. They're not going to be in the same way that I normally do it. But I tell you, I'm quite impressed by what came up. Excuse me. Lots of ideas moving forward. The economics seem to solidify more. There is a new, I might say, a new way of doing things that's going to come forward. And in some ways, it may feel like there's still more to come. I think that there's a feeling that in the first part of June, I was going to say July, but we're not there yet, like up to around 9th of June, there is movement. There is people that they'll come out with different ideas of things they want to do, and then it'll consolidate from say the 9th, 10th to the 15th. But there'll be a change of attitude. Whether people are leaving and coming in, others coming in, I don't know. That's what it feels like to me, but I don't know who, what, where that's going to bring about. And then when we look at going into the 20s of the month, it's like there is a new awareness of the direction that things are going. So be prepared for the second half of the month. Actually, I would say from the 20th for new ideas or new situations being presented, and that will make it a little bit different. But on the whole, compared to what we've seen in the last few months, this is looking a lot better. Changes of attitudes, moving forward, um, everything kind of falling into place. So there will be some shifts and changes, that's for sure. So that's the reading for this month. Now the other thing seems like on Monday night when we do our mental mind treatments, I get a topic for Wednesday, and this happened again. Your thinking sets your vibration. There's no doubt about it. The how you think is what you set up for yourself. If it's great or not great or whatever. So I have a way of teaching this. So I've kind of put it on a piece of paper, and I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to move it close enough. I got to look to make sure. There's two round things. This one, top one, is the conscious mind. The bottom one has got seats on it, and it's like a Ferris wheel. Okay. So the subconscious mind, and what happens with that is that thoughts get on those seats. Excuse me. I'm going to have a little drink of water here. So think of you've got all these thoughts running around, and they sit on a seat. And I love the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel comes up. Now, if you give the thought any energy at all, it doesn't jump off that seat. It stays on it until it comes back up around. And you'll see here. Like I've got. Sometimes there we go. See this one here? It's back to front there with an arrow. That's been given energy. That thought's been given energy. It will not jump off into the main pool. It will come around again. Now, have you ever been absolutely have one thought and that's it? That's what happens. You just never jumps off. It just stays there and builds up and builds up and builds up. And we have to be aware in the conscious mind what it is that's what we're giving energy to, so that when we're giving energy, it's not jumping back off, it's staying there. And often we'll find we'll have more and more and more and more of the same thought there that's coming out and dictating because you're giving it energy. And this is a good thing to become aware of, because the subconscious has no control over what comes up except the energy that you give it. And that's where a lot of people don't understand the subconscious. And I like to point out that you need to consciously be aware of what your subconscious is actually doing, because it is acting out from your energy. So we have a thought that we maybe don't want, right? That thought's coming around and there it is again. And who knows what it is, but you choose not to have that thought. So what do? What you do is this. You freeze the thought, you evaporate the thought. In other words, you wipe it out. And then you replace the thought with what you really want. And this is where a lot of us don't pay attention. We don't take command of what our thinking is doing. To be in command of your thinking, you really must get aware of what's happening. Now, there are times like me, I got this cold, and it was like I was upset over something, and I just stayed. I forgot that I can't do that. I get paid back really quickly when I'm not right on the money, so to speak. But it's like what happens very often when we have an issue that comes up, we keep all these little seats that I've got around this Ferris wheel become the same thought. Obsessive thinking, you've had that, where you have the same thought going around and around and around. That's because you haven't stopped it. Remember, you stop, you see the thought, you evaporate the thought, and you replace the thought with what you really, really are wanting. So it's like getting a grip of what's going on with because your conscious mind is it's the conscious mind. You want that working for you, but the subconscious mind is your power. And a lot of people don't really see that or don't understand that part is the power part. And when you give it more energy, when you say, okay, this is what's happening, this is what it is, this is where it's going, then what happens is that it actually takes root. And the thing is, then you get a cold or you get worse maybe. So it's like knowing that you listen to your body. When I look back on 10 days ago, when I got upset with myself, and I didn't correct it. I just let myself be upset. And what it was is not important. What important is I allowed myself to beat myself up over something that didn't need to be beaten up over. I made a bit of an error, and I don't like doing that. So that thought pattern in 10 days came and represented itself as a cold. And I'm coughing. I'm not feeling great. I've got a headache. Typical cold, spring cold, whatever. So this is one thing you can do. Now, remember, I talk about if you have a thought that you do not want, you freeze it in space and time, you evaporate it. In other words, you wipe it out, and then you replace it with what you do want. And I didn't do that for 10 days. I thought, oh, well, I've got it. I figured I'll forgive myself. I'll be fine. No, I wasn't fine because I wasn't addressing the actual thought that I wasn't doing it quite right. Anyway, it's it's an interesting thought that we create what maybe we don't want to create, because we haven't shifted a thinking pattern. Now, on the mental mind treatments, it seems like we are having patterns that come in, and it looks like I think this is the third week, maybe even longer, where I've been able to take what's going on in Monday and make it into a show, an element of understanding on Wednesday. With Ferris wheel is an important element, I found, because I'm going to show you this again, because as you see up here, I just want to make sure that's on here. That's the energy on the thought. It won't jump off. It'll stay there. In fact, you'll add other ones onto it. And that's where we've got to be really, really aware. What are we doing to ourselves? Beating ourselves up? We're not forgiving ourselves for making an error, because we do make them. We're human. We do make errors sometimes. And so the key here is to be aware and conscious that there is a process that you can understand. And that's what I do. I'm usually very good at freezing, evaporating, and replacing. I've done it for years, but I wasn't thinking 10 days ago. Well, it'll be 11 now. I wasn't thinking. I thought I had cleared it, but I obviously hadn't. And the thing is, you want to be as clear as you possibly can so that you can create within your world with ease, with grace, with everything working really, really well. So anyway, that came out of Monday's mental mind treatments. As last week, I think we had also mental mind treatments information. Like, our thinking is so important, how we think, where we put our energy, where we put our belief structure, what we accept and what we don't accept. And you have a conscious mind, and you have a subconscious mind, but you also have a superconscious mind. But we're not talking about the superconscious at the moment, because it's there. It's the consciousness. It's that little bit that, as I look at these cards down here and I go, wow, they're so different than what I'm reading the other way. These are so different. And that's what's happening, is because the world is changing. And when it's changing, we have to adjust and change with it. Because sometimes the change is not what we're looking for or we're not wanting. So it becomes really, really important. Anyway, I know this is short today, but I've got this dry mouth now, so I'm going to have a little drink of water, and then we're going to wrap this up. I want you to know that even when I'm not feeling well, I'm always committed to my programs, what I'm doing and what's happening. So I want you, and I see Jerry Jason and John Holborn has made a comment. I didn't write on that because I was so caught up with not feeling good at the moment and making sure I kind of straightened out a bit. But you are your life is a little like a boat, and you've got you've got an engine that's going, but you also are steering it in the different directions that you want to go. And the key is to remember that you are in command. And where are you putting your energy? Where are you putting your thoughts? Where are you looking? Like, you might say, oh, it doesn't matter. And I know I'm a great one for just, oh, well, I forgave myself, so I'm okay. That's not enough. You got to make sure that those thoughts that you put out are totally disappeared. Because if they have any thought, they're not going to jump off when the Ferris wheel goes down. They will not jump off. They will stay on that wheel, and they'll come back up. And that is the issue very often. That is the issue. Anyway, I'm going to say bye. It's a short one today, but I'll be here for everything else that goes on. I just want to make sure that you got the message today and know what you're thinking. I'm a great believer in that, and I've always done that until 10 days ago. Well, it'll be 11 now. I didn't pay attention. See how quickly it can sneak up on you, even when you know, even when you're aware. But that's what life is about. And when you know the answers, then you can go in and shift it and change it and get back on track. You have a great week. I'll be back Sunday. So thank you for your comments. I appreciate I really do appreciate them. I didn't write anything up because I was busy getting myself ready to be able to talk to you. Enjoy. Enjoy. That's the main thing. I really believe that. So you take care. Bye now.